Aero Precision pushes the boundaries for modern sporting rifle builds and machines receivers from custom forgings for added strength and durability. Aero Precision delivers top-quality American-made products at an affordable price. AeroPrecisionUSA.com.
As you undoubtedly know, in the efforts of the gun ban industry, the core of it right now, and it's changed through the years. You know, there were Saturday night specials, there were junk guns, there were sniper rifles, there were this and that, whatever they wanted to name. But right now, the core of their efforts is the so-called assault weapon, which drills down to, in fact, the AR-15 rifle. Every once in a while, something pops up and you go, wow, that's quite amazing. That's really useful. That's really helpful. A piece of scholarship, a piece of information, a tool, something you can use. And that's what I have found in this brand new book. It's called The AR-15 Controversy by Dennis P. Chapman. No, not David Chipman. Not that one. Dennis P. Chapman, the author of this book, joins us right now. Hey, Dennis, this is a most amazing book you have written.
Oh, well, great. Thanks. I'm pleased to hear it. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
All right, well, start us off. Who is David Chapman, or Dennis Chapman? Sorry.
Well, I'm an attorney. I practice law in Northern Virginia. I started practicing law in 2015. I actually graduated from law school in 2000. I didn't actually practice law until 2015 because between those years, I was an Army officer. I was not a JAG. My basic branch was infantry, and then I spent the last several years working personnel policy and administration at National Guard Bureau. But
you're also, as I see here, you're also a West Pointer.
Yes, I graduated from West Point. I served in Somalia back in 91, 92. I served in Iraq as an advisor. I've had an advisory team with an Iraqi Army brigade led by former Peshmerga officers. Yeah, that's right. And then I went to law school at Cooley Law School in Lansing.
All right, so you got all this background. You obviously have handled M4s. You know select fire, you know semi-auto, you know full auto, you know all of that. And then you write this book, The AR-15 Controversy, Semi-Automatic Rifles and the Second Amendment. If you were to capsulize the AR-15 controversy, what would that be?
Well, the controversy is pretty straightforward. A guy named Christopher Coper has done a couple of reports for the Department of Justice over the years assessing the effectiveness of the 1994 assault weapons ban. And really the heart of the controversy, at least as stated by the other side, is that so-called assault weapons have features that are useful in crime and combat, but not in sporting applications. And that has expanded in recent years to the claim that the AR-15 rifle or similar rifles is the weapon of choice for mass shooters. Okay, I think that's the controversy, is those claims put forward by gun control advocates.
Well, you, point by point, you start with the history, you take each of those on, you debunk them, you provide good information, it's footnoted, it is a reference work. I honestly think that this is one of the most useful tools that anybody can have when they're discussing or debating gun control today in America. What you have produced is a very unassuming but powerful tool for those of us who talk about this.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll tell you how I came to write the book. I would hear claims about guns that didn't make sense to me based on my experience, okay? So I don't look, I'm not a Navy SEAL, I'm not, Mossad Ayub. I'm a regular guy. I was in the infantry. I've handled guns in that context. And then, in the 2009, 2010 range, I started getting interested in guns, as a hobby, right? I hadn't really been before that point. And so I started paying more attention to the issue. But I would hear people say things that would make me scratch my head and think, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. one of which, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jonathan Lowy. He is one of the advocates at the Brady Center, and he's done, he's a prolific speaker and publisher. And I sat in on a Federalist Society podcast, or a Federalist Society kind of
like a webinar
online forum.
Okay, right.
And he spoke, and they had him, and then they had some folks from the Heritage Foundation to talk about different sides of the issue. And he made a statement, and he said that the pistol grip and the barrel shroud on an AR-15 exists so that you can spray fire from the hip and kill lots of people. Barrel shroud, that would be the handguards, right?
The part that you hold, yes.
Yes, and the term barrel shroud.
Every other rifle has a part that you hold with the forearm.
I've never heard the term. I've never seen the term barrel shroud used anywhere, but in gun regulations and in gun control literature, I've never seen.
It's a shoulder thing that goes up.
Yeah. So I heard that, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm like, that. Never had we trained that way in the infantry with our rifle. I'd never trained people that way. I've taught a lot of people how to shoot over the years. And conducted a lot of rifle ranges, both just marksmanship and tactical live fire ranges. I'm like, where is he getting this from, right? Okay. That was one thing that got me. Another statement, that got me was, which bugged me was, a guy named Dean Winslow. I don't know if you remember him. He's that Air Force Reserve doctor that just blurted out about at a confirmation hearing how people shouldn't be allowed to own AR-15s. And after his nomination was quite properly pulled by the Trump administration, he published an op-ed in the Washington Post in which he said things like, because of its high muzzle velocities, the AR-15 is too hard for civilians to control, and how it's not accurate beyond 100 meters. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
He went further than that. He said the AR-15 is too hard to control, but a 12-gauge pump shotgun is better for that. And I'm thinking, the recoil between the two is unbelievable. And he's got it completely 100% wrong.
And I think he was relying on the spread of the shot from a shotgun. But the problem is, as I talk about this at one point in my book, based on some other people's research, the spread of a shotgun, the pattern of a shotgun blast in the ranges inside a home, it's going to be like an inch, right? So you still have to aim the thing accurately, right?
Correct.
And then there's the other reporter who famously said he went and shot an AR-15 and it battered his body and make him feel like he had a form of PTSD. And all of these things, I was like, are you people kidding me? None of this stuff makes any sense to me in my experience. And then probably the last, Colby v. Hogan, the Maryland, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, they said in that opinion that there's little difference between semi-automatic and full auto fire. And then the last straw for me was when Dianne Feinstein was haranguing then Judge Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearings because Kavanaugh had said, look, AR-15s are commonly used. There are millions of them in the country, so they're commonly used, which means under Heller, they're protected, right? And she said, storage is not use. People are not using them, they're storing them. And that was the last straw for me because I shoot at a little range called Sharpshooters here in Fairfax County, Virginia. And that's about 12 miles from the Capitol building where Feinstein was sitting. And if she were to make a trip to that range, she would see most of the time every rifle on the range is an AR-15, right? And often I'm the only one shooting a rifle other than AR because I'm taking one of my AKs down there, right? So the point is people are shooting them every day. So I said, I'm going to research this. I'm going to address these issues. The first thing I did, what I originally intended to do was just write a law review article, and I actually did publish a law review article, which is kind of an extract of the book, which is cited. It's in the preface. You can see the citation in the preference. But I said I'm going to write an article just about the pistol grips and handguards and spraying fire from the hip issue. Okay, that's what I started out as. Because I'm like, I've never seen that, I've never used that, so I'm going to research that. And so what I did is I started out with, I basically reviewed U.S. Army marksmanship doctrine for every shoulder-fired, select-fire, or semi-automatic rifle that was ever a standard-issue U.S. Army arm from 1923 to 2012. So that's starting with the Browning automatic rifle, which is adopted right after World War I. I look at the M1 Garand, the M1 Carbine, the M3 submachine gun, the Thompson submachine gun family of rifles, or guns, the M14, and the M16 family rifles. I looked at all those. And I said, okay, what's the doctrine say about this firing from the hip business? Okay, and I have to admit, I was actually surprised, because to my surprise, U.S. Army marksmanship doctrine actually does have in it techniques of firing from the hip, or quick kill techniques. Okay. I was surprised. The fact that I was surprised tells you how unimportant they are. Okay. Right. Well, here's what I found out. Okay, this claim, this basic one claim. I was going to look at this one claim. Do the pistol grip and the handguard exist to facilitate that? Right. Mm-hmm. Well, the answer is no. There's no correlation whatsoever between the existence of those features and the presence of any kind of hip firing technique in U.S. Army doctrine. Okay. You start with the Browning automatic rifle. It does not have a pistol grip in the sense that it's referred to, like the AR has. It does not have a pistol grip. It has the traditional rifle stock. It does not have a handguard that goes around the entire barrel, a barrel shroud, and yet it had firing from the hip, a doctrine for hip firing.
Hey, Dennis, let me do this. We're just going to flat run out of time here. We can't go dive this deep into.
What I found, that's fine. What I found out was there's no correlation. There's no correlation. So this business that's why those features are part of an AR-15 is just false. Okay.
Well, in this book, let me just jump in. But in this book, you debunk an awful lot of these things, and you give the sources and the data on where the misinformation came from and why, and how they're trying to expand the term assault weapon to include not just ARs but rifles and then handguns and use all that. It's a fabulous book. Let me ask you, because I am flat out of time. How do people get a hold of this?
It is on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
It's titled The AR-15 Controversy. It's by Dennis P. Chapman. And Dennis, I apologize for the shortness of time, because it's a wealth of information. I want to applaud you and thank you, because this is a fabulous, I'm not kidding, this really is an incredible research reference book you have.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I set out to debunk a lot of gun control myths, and I think I succeeded. And I think I brought some new material to the table, so I hope people take a look at it.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It is an important work. As I say, it's an unassuming looking, but let me just tell you, folks, if you get a hold of this, this should be a part of your library. If you are a serious Second Amendment activist and you get into these debates at all, you will find within it intellectual ammunition. All right, 866 Talk Gun. We'll be right back.
Carry comfortably without sacrificing capacity with Smith & Wesson's M&P Shield Plus. Designed for concealed carry, the M&P Shield Plus offers a 13+1 extended magazine or a 10+1 flush mount magazine in a slim, micro-compact frame. The M&P Shield Plus 9mm is offered in a variety of configurations, including performance center models with optics cuts, upgraded sights, and more. The Shield Plus. Find yours at smith-wesson.com.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Celebrating 75 years of innovation wasn't enough for Timney Triggers. Timney decided to go big and introduce a game-changing Alpha Competition Series trigger for handguns, a first for the company. Currently available for Glock Gen 3s, 4s, and 5s, these new triggers offer a 3-pound trigger weight and crisp trigger break designed to keep you on target. And like all Timney triggers, are easy to install and come with a lifetime warranty. Find out more at timneytriggers.com.
All right, back with you. Yeah, that really is, I'm not kidding when I say this is just a terrific book. You get a chance to grab it over on Amazon. The AR-15 Controversy by Dennis P. Chapman. It is just, it's important. And there's a ton of stuff in there that it's all been compiled in one place. I think you'll find it very useful. All right, our number is 866-TALK-GUN. We are open lines if there's a gun that you are wanting to buy, you did buy, or you just want to talk about. We're here for you. Gary called in from North Dakota. Hey, Gary, thank you for your patience. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I'm doing some reloading on 223, and I was just happened to, one of the dumb things the guy does, read the directions. And
yeah.
I saw where, your length of your shell has to be just right to crimp into the channeler.
Ah.
And so I get checking out, and I run up to 15 thousandths differences in my shells.
You're talking about 15,000 difference in the length of the actual brass case, not the overall length of the cartridge, but the brass?
15 thousandths, yeah, the brass.
Okay, the brass. Okay, that's a lot.
And, okay, that's my question. Is that, no, I can trim down. Now, if I get it trimmed within, say, 3-4 thousandths, how does that compute? I'm talking about trying for accuracy here, so okay.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. What rifle are we shooting these in?
Well, it'd be an AR-15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, accuracy is consistency, and consistency is accuracy. So
yep.
you want you do want to trim your cartridge cases so they are all the same length. And then you want to have the overall length, the seated depth of the bullet to be the same. But more than that, you may find, and this is often the case, that seating the bullet further out or slightly more into the case will change the accuracy of your rifle. And, I mean, that's one of the variables that people work on a lot, is changing seating depth. In your case...
I used to do that with the 308 and 30-06. I'd seat them out so they almost no gap at all between the bullet and the lands and grooves in the rifle bore.
Right.
But I kind of quit that. That gets a little touchy.
It can, and you can actually, certainly if you get them jammed up into the lands, it can increase the pressure. You have to allow for that. In your case, are you actually crimping the case mouth into a cantilever on the bullet? On your 223?
That's what I plan on doing. I'm just getting into this 223, and my bullets have all got channelers on them. So, yeah,
well,
there are directions.
Yeah, there are varying opinions on that. I would suggest, let me throw this thought out to you. Try at first loading them without crimping into the cantilever. Don't crimp them at all, and just shoot them and see how they work for you, and make sure you're not getting any bullet pull. That is, a bullet's not actually moving in the case as you're shooting and they're feeding in. That would be my thought, is to start out without crimping, and then if you find that you're getting bullet movement in the cases, then you may want to try crimping into the cantilever. But here's the thing, if you don't crimp the case mouth, then you're not going to be married to a specific bullet seating depth, because you're not trying to make sure the cantilever lines up with the mouth of the case. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think it's going to give you more flexibility. Now, if you find that with your rifle, with your loads, whatever's going on there, if the bullets are sliding back into the case with recoil, although there's hardly any recoil in a 223, then maybe you consider that. But if it were me and I was trying to develop accuracy loads, I wouldn't be crimping into a cantilever. I would be leaving that case mouth uncrimped, and that would allow me to work on bullet seating depth and see what happens there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, look, let me know how it works out. Try it and work with it, and then give us a call back and see how the loads worked out for you, okay?
Yeah, it might be a while before I get it all done, but yeah, we'll do.
I understand. Heck, just finding the components right now could take a while. Thank you for the call, sir. I do appreciate that. Again, 866-TALK-GUN. There was a case, and I can't find it right now, but I do remember the details of it. It's one of those heartbreaking cases. A woman, I can't remember, she's Coast Guard Reserve, she's something. Tried to apprehend somebody who was breaking into her car, as I remember. This is over the last week. I wish I could find the story. I just can't put my hands on it right now. And young woman, pulls her gun, tries to hold this guy for the police. He doesn't do what she says. He won't obey her commands, and he ends up pulling a gun out and shoots her and kills her. It's a heartbreaking story. But it takes us back to the whole, and I'm not trying to blame her at all for this, okay? But if we don't look at these things and try to learn from them and say, okay, how could I be, what can I do that reduces my risk? Because that's all about risk management. Holding someone for the police is an incredibly bad idea. You want the person to go away. You're not trying to hold somebody. You don't have the training, you don't have the capability, you don't have handcuffs, you don't have all the stuff you need to hold somebody. And while you're holding somebody there, other bad things can happen. They could have a friend. They could pull a gun out like this guy did and shoot you. The police could roll up and see you pointing a gun at somebody and think that you're the bad guy. Having them leave is a really good thing. Or maybe you leave. Remember, as I said last week, I've become a fan of this term, being a member of Team Runaway. Yeah, but he was breaking into my car. Yep. Are you willing to get dead for that? I'm not. So rethink what you're doing. Discard the idea of holding someone for the police and go get as much training as you can, because that's where you learn this stuff. All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN is the number. Or, you can just do it easier. Call me at Tom Talk Gun. Well, that's what we do around here. I'm Tom Gresham. It's Gun Talk. By the way, we give away stuff. As you know, we do these cool giveaways. The one we're doing this month, it's called the Range Ready Giveaway. It's going to end August the 27th. Going to be multiple prize packs. Check it out. Listen to this. We're going to have one pack is a Benelli Super Black Eagle 3 shotgun and 250 rounds of Remington hypersonic steel ammo. Another pack is 1,000 rounds of Remington UMC 9mm and Axel earbuds. Third, we're going to have 3 of these, a Sky DVG-1 9mm pistol, $200 to use at Galco for holster, plus earmuffs. And another package, 2 of these, $200 Galco gift card and Axel earbuds. Giving away a lot of stuff, a lot of chances to win. Go to guntalk.com/win, and maybe you will, in fact, win. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Let's see here. Line 3. Kenny's with us out of Arizona. Hey, Kenny, thanks for your patience. How can I help you?
Hi, Tom. I read in Guns and Ammo magazine that the military is coming out with a new 6.8 millimeter cartridge, and there's several companies in competition for that contract. And the one they had in Guns and Ammo was 6 hour versions, and they had a pretty good article on how their ammos are going to be built, and it's going to be about over 3,000 feet per second, 80,000 psi, and the chamber pressure, and excuse me, and 135 grain bullet.
Hang in there.
That's going to be far more lethal than the current 222 ammo that they're using. I was just wondering if you think that they're doing that because we seem to have caught up with the military in the civilian ranks.
Well, let's go back to why did we get the 223, the 5.56 millimeter cartridge, NATO cartridge in the first place? And think about where we were fighting at the time. We were fighting in Vietnam. We were fighting in the jungle. We were fighting close up. We needed ammo that we could use for close-in encounters. Carry a lot of it, shoot close, shoot a lot of it. Now contrast that with Afghanistan in particular. the 223, the 5.56 are simply running out of steam out there. You need to shoot somebody 600, 800 yards in the mountains. That's where they were breaking out a lot of the old M14s out of the warehouses at the beginning of that war, saying, hey, send us 308s because we're just not able to reach out there and hit these guys. And so that's what was going on. The nature of warfare changes. And I think, yes, certainly, if they go to the 6.8 caliber, which is a 270, like the old 270 Winchester, you're going to have more bullet weight. You're going to have a velocity. Of course, with the SIG rig, that's a whole different deal. They're running 80,000 PSI out of a specialty cartridge case. Don't know if that's where they're going to end up. But, the other thing is, and consider this, the old 55 grain, 223 bullets, pretty stubby. Then they went to heavier, longer bullets. But still, the ballistic coefficient of those is very low. By going to the 6.8, it gives them a chance, an opportunity to go to a higher ballistic coefficient, which gives them a better long-range performance, more energy at long ranges. There are a lot of benefits to that. Now, there's obviously a lot going on when it comes to changing over military armament and everything else. So I don't know exactly where we're going to be. And I have to admit, I haven't followed this as closely as a lot of people. I kind of wait until they get it all worked out, and then they'll tell us, and we'll go there. But I think at its core, that's what's going on, is the nature of warfare, and the battlefields have changed. And as a result, they've, seen that, and that's where we're headed. But I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you. Let's see here. Line 4, David, out of Bloomfield, New Mexico, it says. How you doing, David?
Hello, Tom.
Yes, sir.
First time I've ever got to talk to you, and I've tried several times, so I'm kind of excited to be able to talk to you.
I'm glad you got through.
Thank you. I got a comment on the guy that's reloading the 223s.
Okay.
I do a lot of that. I do a lot of reloading on 223s, and his limitation is the bullet can only be as long as his magazine will allow it.
Correct. Yes, absolutely true, unless you're going to single load them, right. And what's the point of that?
Well, if he's going to single load, then I don't understand the point of loading. But
might as well get a bolt action, right?
Exactly. So that's the answer to that. The other thing is you talked about crimping.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to load and no crimping. Trust me, the bullets come out.
Well, that was what I was alluding to.
When the bullet gets grabbed by the action, it'll pull the bullet out. And I've had gun jams, unbelievable, because the bullets come out.
So what you're saying is, when you're shooting in an AR, you absolutely do need to crimp them. Now, do you always crimp them in a cantilever?
I do not. I shoot bullets that don't have a cantilever a lot of the times.
Okay.
So, but you do a mild crimp on them, or they will come loose in the case.
You'll get movement of the bullet.
On a long magazine, a 30-round magazine, they'll actually jam up in the magazine. There's enough of a jar to alter the bullet's length.
Let me try to explain that.
I've had my gun fill up with powder.
Oh, jeez. Oh, well, let me explain to people. They're trying to figure out what we're talking about. In the recoil of the rifle, there's not a lot of recoil, but there's some. But it's cumulative. If the rifle moves back suddenly with recoil, and it does, the inertia of a lead or a heavy bullet, it actually, as the case goes backwards, rifle goes backwards, the bullet stays where it is due to inertia, and it actually slides forward in the case mouth a little bit. And if you shoot bang, 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 that's a lot of times for it to slide forward. And they could either not feed because they've gotten too long, right? Or, as you say, you can actually have the bullet come out. Have you had a bullet like jam in the lands of the barrel and then somehow, I don't know exactly how you'd end up with powder in the gun. What's the mechanism for that?
Well, I've had that happen to where the bullet actually, before it got into the receiver itself, came out and it pushed it in sideways next to the case.
Holy
and
cow.
the gun filled with powder, and it was a mess. I had to take a friend of mine help me, and we drove the bolt open so we could get the case out. It was just a jammed up mess, and that's what I was finding after I pulled that apart.
Mm-hmm.
That these bullets, not being crimped, were moving in the cases from the action of the gun, actually causing this to happen.
Yeah, and see, and my experience is primarily with bolt guns, and so where you don't have to crimp, but what you're describing makes perfect sense to me. And I'm also finding it interesting. You don't feel the need to have a bullet with for those who don't know, a cantilever is a groove that is formed around the bullet, and primarily the idea is to crimp into that. But you don't find it necessary to use a bullet with a cantilever.
Well, I don't use them a lot. Now, if you buy factory seconds, also, you will find out that factory second bullets with a cantilever, the cantilevers are all different. Set them side by side, and they're off. So you've got a different bullet length for every one that you're loading.
That's
I have
no good.
lots of bullets like that. Midway USA sells factory second bullets, and that's what their description is. The cantilever is not where it's supposed to be.
Interesting. Well, that is very helpful, David. I really appreciate you weighing in on that and sharing your experience with that. That's good information. We pass that along. So crimping is not only a good thing, but it's a necessary thing for those. I appreciate that, sir. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. Let's see, are we? Here we are. We've got to take another break. Here we are. Tom Gresham here. We'll be right back.
As arms makers for responsible citizens, Ruger wants to ensure that new firearm owners have access to the helpful information they need to operate, store, and train with their new firearm safely and responsibly. The new Firearm Owner Resource page features a Fundamentals of Firearms Ownership video series, resources for local training and safe storage, instruction manuals, and suggestions for safety equipment and shooting supplies. Discover more at Ruger.com/new firearm owner.
Visit guntalk.com/win to win one of 7 prizes: the Benelli Super Black Eagle 3 shotgun and a case of Remington Hypersonic Steel, or a case of Remington 9mm ammo and Axle earbuds, the Sky DVG-1 pistol, $200 at Galco holsters, and Axle earbuffs, or a $200 Galco gift card and Axle earbuds. You have until August 27th to enter at guntalk.com/win.
A passion for shooting and hunting has driven product innovation at Hodgson Powder Company since 1947. Innovations like black powder substitutes, muzzle-loading pellets, and smokeless powder features like anti-copper fouling agents or temperature insensitivity. A family business from the beginning, Hodgson Powder Company is the largest U.S. supplier of smokeless, black powder, and black powder substitute propellants and the leader in reloading data for enthusiasts and newcomers alike through the Reloading Data Center. Hodgson Powder Company, the gunpowder people.
Isn't it interesting, all the different areas that we have within the firearms world? Self-defense, certainly we've talked about that. A fellow called in and said that he's been carrying for many, many years, decades. Had only 2 occasions to have to, quote-unquote, use his gun, and neither time did he have to shoot anybody. Once he showed just the grip, and 2 bad guys went away. Another time, a guy opened the door of his car, jumped in, or was going to jump in. He pulled his gun out, just pointed at him. The guy turned around and took off running. Happens every day. Happens thousands of times every day. People say, that can't be possible. I never heard about that. Well, you never heard about this guy either. Never made the news. It wouldn't even be worth, for a lot of people, it wouldn't be worth a police report. Now, I would suggest that you always file a police report on something like that, because you don't want, first of all, you want them looking for him. Also, if someone were to see you pull a gun out and point it at somebody, even though it's self-defense, that could be called in, and now the police are looking for you. So in any of those situations, you want to be the one who's calling the police and reporting what happened. And it does, in fact, happen thousands of times a day. We know that even the Centers for Disease Control, even though they tried to hide their research and only came out when they were forced to release it, even the CDC said that in America, people use guns for self-defense 2.5 million times a year. Now, you do the numbers. 2.5 million divided by 365 days, that's a lot of times every day somebody's using a gun for self-defense, and they're certainly not shooting people then. It's just a case of, I had a gun, I showed it to somebody, he went away. Cool. A lot less paperwork, to say the least. And then you compare that to the discussions about hand loading, and we're talking about the fine minutia of bullet seating depth. And if you don't know about bullet seating depth, look, there are YouTube videos about that. You can read up about it. All of the manufacturers of reloading information, or reloading tools rather, whether they make bullets, the actual reloading presses, or powder, they all have information about reloading, how to reload. And you can read about that. In the case of the AR-15, not so much, but when you're shooting bolt guns, you're shooting in and out longer or shorter lengths of bullet depth, making the cartridge longer or shorter, if you will. Pushing the bullet closer to the beginning of the barrel, what we call the lands and the grooves there. And sometimes you actually do want that bullet to be touching. But when you get into that point, this is fine point stuff. This is really esoteric stuff. It's important for accuracy, and it's kind of fun. At a certain point, you know what? It becomes a pursuit itself. And people say, why do you reload? Sometimes you reload to reload. I know it sounds crazy. If you're not into it, you think, well, I'm just making ammo. Yeah, I know. But at a certain point, the pursuit of accuracy or the goal of making really good ammo becomes its own thing. And you just are reloading because you like the process of reloading. So kind of interesting, that whole process. But it kind of points out all these different areas that we talk about, whether it's self-defense. Consider this: trap shooting, skeet shooting, sporting clays, action pistol, Olympic-style shooting, self-defense, reloading, optics, gun storage, bolt-action rifle, semi-automatic, single-shot, pump shotguns, semi-automatic pistols of all types, revolvers, single-shot pistols, and we're not even talking about the black powder stuff. We haven't even gotten into that, which is the whole world under itself. Oh, yeah, lever actions. By the way, just got a note from somebody. We're going to have some news about lever action rifles in just a very few weeks, I think. Exciting stuff. Man, I'm jazzed. This is going to be fun. We'll talk about that. Let's see. Still got time for you if you want to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. And if you're one of those who says, I'd really rather be on the after show, now's the time to go ahead and get yourself in line. If you haven't heard the after show, or if you ever miss either all or part of one of our radio shows, it's all available in the podcast. We upload this thing and it becomes the Gun Talk Podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can go take a look at that. And don't forget to check out our Gun Dealio app and Gun Dealio online, where we have exclusive discount deals and coupon codes for you. We're all over the place. All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN. David called in from Marshall, Arkansas on 2. Hey, David, how can we help you?
Yes, sir. Finally got through. I've been loading shot shells. I understand, the basics, and you have to follow the recipes and whatnot, but I'm wanting to get into rifle reloading. And I've been buying components as I could find them and get them done and whatnot, but I'm trying, now that machines are starting to come back, I'm looking at a Lee Classic kit. It comes with the whole 9 yards. Is that a good starter kit?
Lee Classic kit, that's the one that's like in the little box, and you end up like you're pouring powder in by hand, and you got to whack on it to knock the... Yeah, I'm looking at those. I'm familiar with those. I used one for a little while. It took me about 12 minutes to decide I don't want to do that anymore.
Whack on it. Now this is a press.
Oh, it's a press. Okay, 'cause I was looking at the classic Lee loader. You're talking about a press. Then, yeah, you know what? The Lee stuff is not terribly high end, but it's a great way to get started. I would have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, it comes with the press and the scale and the case trimmer and the book and the whole 9 yards.
You know, it'll work. Chances are, if you get into it, you're going to decide fairly early on that you want something a little bit more robust. But if you just want to
move up,
if you want to just dip your toe in the water and try it, that's not a bad idea. If you have experience reloading, though, and you say, you know, I'm probably going to get into this rifle reloading stuff, and I'm going to like that, I could encourage you to spend a little bit more and get a setup from RCBS or from Hornady or somebody like that. Redding, of course, makes really good stuff. But you know what? If you just want to say, I want to reduce my costs getting into it and try it, Lee makes pretty good stuff. I would say go ahead and give that a try.
Okay, one question real quick. My next question is, I've been reading, and they say dies. What am I going to – I know that's important. Which is the best set? What set do I need to get with that's going to work me?
Everybody makes good dies right now. What caliber are you going to get?
30, 30-06.
Okay. Look, Hornady makes dies, RCBS, Lee, Lyman. The ones that I really like, if you're going to, I think, make some of the best dies, are Redding, Redding. They make really good stuff. You can get them from Brownells as well as other places. But again, these days it may be more of a case of what you can find versus what you really want. And so I wouldn't spend a lot of time worrying about the maker of the dies. And most of these, I think they're going to be just fine. If I had my choice, I would probably get Redding, but I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time worrying about it one way or the other. You're going to be fine. I think you're on the right track. I'm glad you've been getting components because that's the whole deal. And look, I appreciate the call. Thank you, sir. If you're on hold right now, don't go anywhere. We're going to move you into the after show because it wouldn't be fair. You wouldn't have enough time to get in here and have us chat a little bit before the end of the show here. I guess my takeaway would be this. Explore different parts of the shooting sports. If you haven't tried shotgunning, try that. If you haven't tried reloading, try that. If you've been shooting all your life, but I haven't done that. Well, go do whatever that other thing is. It's exciting to try new things. In the process, ask your friends, your shooting friends. They may already be doing that. Have them help you along. If you're looking for reloading components, absolutely ask your friends. They may say, yeah, I've got this powder I haven't used. I'm not going to use this, but it'll work perfectly for the caliber that you want to load. You may find that there's components out there that are just sitting on your buddy's shelf that he or she might be willing to share. I guess the other thing I would offer is that if you are one of those who's been at it a while, teach somebody. Invite them. Show them how. You'll find that may be more rewarding than anything else you've done in a while. Take care.